Hello, my friends and mutants, and welcome back to our Enclave Purist campaign. I have maybe a little bit of bad news, actually. So, I'm not sure how, but it looks like in some way, maybe an update scooched its way through and got through my protections, and some things have changed. That's very unfortunate, but maybe this will be a good thing. But some things have changed, and I am a little flabbergasted about it, and I don't see any way back. So I guess we're just gonna have to finish this out with what we got going on. I guess so. Goodness. All right, so let's just get into this. So basically, right away, we go to our decisions. All right, in all of our vaults and bases that we were reclaiming are gone. That whole situation is gone. Now we have this installation management command tab, but it's showing available. I guess there are none to do currently. I don't know. Not sure why. Among some other things. So we got this thing, a cool thing at the end here. If we click this, trigger the epilogue detailing the fate of America under the Purists and their glorious future. So that could be something to do at the very end. Yeah, wild stuff, guys. Again, like I said, not sure what happened. Then we go to focuses. All of the Project Safe Haven stuff that we had done has been unfocused, basically, and some things have been shuffled all around. Now, a lot of the things we did are still here. These have been tucked under here. The Brotherhood tree that we had done, Break the Brotherhood, is also reset. I still wish we could do the Navarro, finish that out. So some things have been kicked backwards, and gosh darn it. So I sure do apologize for that. So I don't know exactly what that means for the rest of the end of the campaign. Obviously, we were already coming up towards the end as it was, but things have changed even a little bit more now, I guess. So as we continue conquering the rest of the map, I guess we'll still go ahead and hit these focuses again. Now, does the game remember what vaults I have or have not done? That is a good question. Hopefully, I don't know. We're going to have to find out, I suppose. So I guess let's just restart Project Safe Haven and get into that, I suppose. In the meantime, this is giving me this island, so we don't even need to invade it anymore, I guess. So never mind to that, all that stuff we did with the boats and all that junk. Well, let's take out somebody, I guess. How about we could take out these little guys, Live Wires and Newton. Who is the faction leader? Newton.
Enclave here.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I turned it on to record, and lo and behold, this is what I was met with. I guess the only thing I can think of, it might have been that brief, but I did that on the other computer, so theoretically it should not have updated this over here, but it freaking must have. So I find that most unfortunate. Assuming that is what happened. I mean, it had to get an update, of course. At least the save game is still here. Alright, so we're going to bring our troops down. Some of my power armor divisions, and we'll get set up and we'll go after this. Oh, so something new though. So maybe some pros and cons in a way. Arcade Gannon leaves the Enclave. I didn't even know we had him. Well, we probably didn't originally. Citing recent decisions made by our government, Arcade Gannon has left the Enclave in disgust. He was smart enough to make his grievances known by letter, to be discovered long after his disappearance. Ganon's whereabouts are currently unknown. Modify legitimacy by -5. Where is legitimacy? Is that something totally different now? No idea. Okay, okay, well, at least we have something else to read in the meantime. Oh, there's Arcade right there. Can I still hire him even though it says he left? We'll take a look at that. The Frost of Yankton. The Dakotas, Montana, and Wyoming are regions defined by their isolation and their unforgiving winters. While many places in the wasteland still suffer the heat of a post-Great War world, the Great Northern Commonwealth seems to be the opposite in weather. Regardless, that hasn't meant the place has cooled down any. For decades, the local warlords, power brokers, and tribal remnants have used the storms and weather as a shield, retreating into the mountains and woods whenever a central power tried to impose its will. They believe the North is too vast and too cold to be tamed. They haven't met the Enclave. The restoration of Yankton Penitentiary changes that reality. Along with all the standard checks needed to run a modern prison, we have also refurbished the old world heating systems, selectively, of course. Those who accept federal law will enjoy the warmth of a reconstructed society. Those who cling to the frontier freedom through raiding and defiance will find themselves in a Yankton cell where the heat is a privilege, not a right. The choice for the North is simple: the warmth of their hearth or the biting chill of the Yankton iron. Choose wisely. This modifies the Federal Bureau of Prisons modifier with the following: stability, daily compliance, resistance growth speed down, damage to garrisons down. So just kind of good for garrisons, I guess. What do we got here? The Bull and the Eagle. The room was silent as the two men stared at one another. One draped in orange prison garb, the other in a white dress shirt and red, white, and blue striped tie. No bodyguards, no advisors. Just the man who claimed the future and the one who tried to erase it. Caesar was actually somewhat surprised. President Anderson did not send a proxy. He came himself. Granite finally broke the silence. So, you're Edward. Can I call you Edward? He said quietly. Caesar lifted his head. His eyes, fierce, undimmed, unwavering despite his defeat. You will stand trial, Granite continued, before a tribunal of the United States of America. You will answer for every crucified settler, every enslaved child, every village burned in the name of your philosophy. You are not a god. You are not Caesar. You are Edward Sallow, and now you face justice. Caesar finally spoke. You mistake victory for vindication. You think your republic has won, but I have seen your kind before. The NCR, the Arizona Rangers, your America is a shambling corpse. The same system that made the wasteland we live in. He leaned forward, voice low and venomous. I made men out of beasts. I forged order from anarchy. You drown in old world dogma and paper flags and hollow courts. Tell me, President, how many forms did you sign before you killed your first warlord? As a mercenary captain or the president? Granite replied with a smirk. Caesar smiled, but not kindly. You think I care for your tribunal? You think your laws frighten me? I was a god to thousands. You are a footnote to a nation that already died. Try me, judge me, but know this. Caesar does not kneel. If you are so powerful, might as well just execute me. Granite smiled. No, actually, I won't. Instead, there's someone I have distinct pleasure of introducing, Mr. Sallow. The Attorney General. Okay, so before we hit this next thing, does the game now think Granite is president? Or does Caesar just think Granite is president? So is that kind of a little bit of a problem there? Obviously, it still shows Franklin Anderson on the side here. I just don't know if we got a little bit of a boo-boo there. But, you know, with what's going on, I could see why. The Attorney General gets indictment from a, quote, dead republic. Grayson entered with a predatory calm, his suit razor-sharp and every movement deliberate. He lit a gray tortoise cigarette, the flame flickering briefly in the courtroom gloom. Caesar's eyes followed him, searching for weakness, but Grayson met his gaze with chilling indifference. He snapped open a leather-bound folder, the sound slicing through the silence, and exhaled smoke like a judge issuing a sentence. Edward Sallow, once a mere citizen, now the self-styled Caesar of the Legion, Grayson intoned, his voice echoing off marble walls. You stand accused under the United States Code, both civil and military, of atrocities, crimes against humanity, enslavement, genocide, the razing of cultures and sanctuaries, waging unauthorized war against the government of the United States of America, usurping sovereign authority over American soil. Grayson paused, letting the weight of each word settle like ash. You are hereby remanded to a joint civil-military tribunal, answerable to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. If found guilty, you face a sentence stretching beyond 1,000 years. Caesar sneered, chin high. You recite charges like a clerk counting beans. You see nothing. You understand nothing. You're shackled by parchment and protocol. I forged an empire from your republic's corpse. I are only a man, Grayson cut in, steel cold. The law knows no crowns, no myths, only deeds. Chains clattered as Sallow slammed the table. I brought civilization to your ruins! Grayson did not blink. I've tried louder warlords. He turned the page. Silence pressed in. The legend was gone. Only a defendant remained, awaiting judgment. To the Attorney General, Edward Sallow was no god, no emperor, not even Caesar. All right. Let's see. He was just another name on the docket, or I know how this goes. I guess let's just go with he was just another name on the docket. Interesting. So this says I could still hire Arcade Gannon. I mean, I don't need, it's not like I need it, but just interesting to see. Looks like there may be new names here. Looks like they're not even fully fleshed out. So we must have accidentally got an update snuck in. Very unfortunate that. Very unfortunate. Not the end of the world, but, you know. Dang it. About the trial. The day started as routine for Granite, as it always did. Morning military brief, breakfast. Okay, so the game now thinks, it sounds like it thinks that Granite is the president. So maybe what I'm going to do from this point forward, I'm just going to switch out the word Granite for Anderson. Though I imagine their personalities might be a little different, but just for immersion, I think we'll just say Anderson. So, honestly, by this point, he had grown used to it, especially the decision-making part, because really all he had to do was make some vague order to his cabinet, and they'd handle it how they saw fit. Then came Grayson. Though it started off routine enough, then the issue of the trial of Edward Sallow came up. Anderson found himself flipping through a series of papers that Grayson had brought with him, wondering why Grayson used the words like, a matter of grave national consequence. It was a trial. The docket itself he was going through was a series of intelligence and battlefield reports, survivor and frontline testimonies, and old NCR radio messaging that all referenced the Legion in some way, shape, and form. How many of this was a matter of grave national concern was beyond Anderson. It all looked pretty standard to him. Mr. President, we can't hold a standard trial for this. Not for him, Grayson spoke, lighting up another gray tortoise. Anderson raised an eyebrow. What? Why? We've tried raiders before. Raider bosses? Grayson shook his head. This isn't a regular raider boss, or some violent tribal chieftain. Edward Sallow was the head of a political, militarized state that nearly gave our military a run for its money. Everyone in the country knows who Edward Sallow is. You try him before a jury of their peers, and every man or woman selected will already have made up their mind, especially the women. Either they outright fear him, or they want to see him hanged. And the single judge? No judge is going to be neutral on this. The whole thing will set a historical precedent. America and its people need to believe that this isn't a firing squad with a speech. It has to be justice. Real justice. However, it's justice that can't be done normally. Anderson leaned back, frowning. Okay, you're giving me a problem, Grayson. All right. I need a solution. It's called a tribunal. Grayson outlined the tribunal to Anderson as an architect would a building. The tribunal won't be like anything we've done before, least since the bombs fell. 3 judges, evidence presented publicly, and the defendant will be allowed to defend himself. Anderson frowned, skeptical. Hold on, isn't the law say they have a right to an attorney? You know any decent attorneys? Asked Grayson. Okay, fair, Anderson said after a pause. Still, this sounds like a damned circus. Grayson remained steadfast. Again, a jury trial would collapse under its own weight. There's no impartiality in the wasteland for this, but if we do this right, we show that even our worst enemies are given due process. And we don't just kill the Legion, we prove America's back. My charges are there, 7 of them. Each one carries weight. We only need to prove half. Anderson leaned back. I'm still on the lawyer part. There has to be some lawyer out there. Yeah, they'll be known as the Legion lawyer or something, and it would probably ruin their career. But I know people are going to call that out. Grayson hesitated. I'm aware. However, the Legion was created of raiders and tribals, and they took half the Southwest and gave the NCR Army and our military a run for its money. Any man who can control that can argue for himself, can they not? It's not ideal, but I say it's a risk worth taking. Anderson nodded slowly. Fine. To the rest, then. Am I assuming you're the prosecution? Who are the judges? All right. What? Who is going on it? Oh, wow. Okay. A little sip of coffee here. The tribunal takes shape. My reason behind 3 judges is for someone to represent each of the 3 branches of the U.S. government. Judicial, legislative, and executive, explained Grayson. It can't be me for the executive, Anderson said. I may not know a whole lot about the law, but the sitting president being a judge would be a, what's it called? War of interest? Conflict of interest, yes, sir, corrected Grayson. Really, the only seat I have on lock is Chief Justice Talbot. She's impartial, and hell, by the time I tell her and explain, she'll be halfway convinced it's a waste of time. At least she is honest. Senator Rhodes? Proposed Anderson. Grayson considered it, but shook his head. She's reliable, yes, but she's a rubber stamp for her party, and everyone knows it. Let's say something falls apart. She'll just vote guilty. No, we need legitimacy, not loyalty. Maybe the assembly chief? Anderson snorted. No, any more power to the 3rd chamber is the last thing I need. Anderson lit another cigarette. Really, there's only one real choice then, and that's Speaker Graham. Oh, sorry, that was Grayson. Anderson groaned. Of course it's Graham. Why can't we have Rhodes on the tribunal? Look, Graham is sharp. He's principled, and is the only one who'd give the Legion a fair hearing while still being able to cut them to pieces when the time comes. And we know Rhodes won't. If we want this trial to mean something, we need him. Anderson exhaled through his nose, then gave a slow nod. Fine. He's a thorn in my side, but he's got integrity. However, we're still short on the executive. Someone from the military, maybe? Grayson replied without hesitation. General Aguila. She's a 5-star, literally. She's an Atlas program prodigy and the highest ranking officer in the United States of America and has seen firsthand what the Legion is capable of. She'll know how to cut through the theatrics. Anderson smiled faintly. Then it settled. Ah, okay, so we have our 3 tribunals here. Look at this. Wow, this is pretty wild. I do have to admit. So what was her name? There you go, General Aguila. So she's someone that can be hired. I wonder how long she's been there or if she's new. First Atlas. Special Forces capacity plus 20%, which is pretty cool. Don't need her, though. Doesn't really matter. The Judgment of the Legion. An historic moment for the fledgling United States of America's government, who has become known as the Alcatraz trials, commenced today on the fortified island. Central to the trial is Edward Sallow, also known more infamously as Caesar, of the fallen Caesar's Legion, whose rise and fall have shaped the wastes across the West Coast and Southwest, with the United States of America framing the trial as a keystone of the restored justice system. The tribunal presiding over the trial is a representative from the 3 branches of the American government. Speaker of the House Aaron Graham, representing the legislative branch, Chief Justice Elizabeth Talbot of the Supreme Court, and General of the Army Taylor Aguila, unless those are silent L's, but I'll just say Aguila, representing the Executive and the Department of Defense. Prosecution remains Attorney General Felix Grayson, who has vowed to hold Sallow accountable for decades of brutality. Sallow has chosen to represent himself with the same commanding zeal that once inspired the tribal warriors of his legion. Caesar will face American justice. All right, so we got some pretty cool Caesar stuff going on. I gotta at least admit that. So that's something. So for whatever else has gotten messed up,
Enclave here.
maybe
This is Enclave Maincom.
maybe at least we have something to kind of fill that void a little bit, perhaps. I hope.
Why isn't your video feed working?
Obviously, these guys are a long way off. Oh yeah, they are still very far away. Of course, we still have... this is the army group that has a lot of our channel members, so we do need to add one, but we got Buckwild Zebra, The Only One, Chieftain, Frito Plays, and Black Knights of Darkness. Spinal Tear has recently joined the channel, so thank you so much, Spinal Chair. I don't know if we can wait for that guy. That guy's going to be freaking forever.
This is Enclave Maincom. This is Enclave
Alright, so
Maincom.
she's there, he's there, and you're there. So, we might go without him. Do we have any planes over here by chance? We do! Small air zone here, Reaver, Nebraska. So we'll get some air superiority over that. And honestly, we might just go ahead and pop one. So let's start by taking down this Reaver movement here in Nebraska, please.
This is Enclave Maincom.
I want to take someone out today. Yeah, they just don't stand a chance at all. I assume, is he going to call in his friend? Actually, I guess I don't need to wait. I can just go ahead and do it. Obviously, we're just going to blow. It doesn't even really matter. It's a river crossing. We just outclass them so much. Alright, Project Safe Haven was complete. Let's just keep filling that out. So I guess let's do Establish Overseers. Ah, man, we were doing... Well... I mean, there's still something that looks like it talks about the... you know, this thing... You know, installation management. I assume that's kind of the similar thing, but there's nothing there. So, let's see. This is about trade routes and stuff. Looks like they did some overhauling to that, but I'm not too interested in that at the moment. The Legion trial at Alcatraz. Before this event chain begins, this is your last chance to skip the Legion trial. The Legion trial is a 7-day marathon of 2 events a day, followed by the 3 event verdicts and 2 3 event finale. totaling about 20 events, give or take, depending on who is on trial at the time. There is no penalty for skipping these events, no negative consequences, no different narrative outcomes. This is strictly a quality of life option for those who don't want to have these events popping up every day. This skip will place the player at the end of the event chain. No. We are not skipping. We will do it. Now, we can't obviously do all of them. It's, what did it say, 20 events? So maybe we'll do just a few and go from there. Wow. This is pretty wild. All right, Caesar will face American justice.
Enclave here. Enclave here. This is Enclave main comm.
All right, day 1, crimes against humanity. Animals operate on instinct and dominance, Grayson stated. The law is what separates man from the beasts. For Edward Sallow, however, he engineered a society wherein survival was entirely predicated on the subjugation and brutalization of the human race. Deliberate destruction of identities, orchestration of mass murder, institutionalized torture, all to serve his own vision of the wasteland. The phrase crimes against humanity is not a static, universal concept. It is a luxury of circumstance, such as the luxury of a room lit by nuclear power, protected by power armor, and attempting to judge me by the moral framework of a nation that incinerated the globe. Caesar shifted comfortably in his chair. I found your humanity living in filth, eating its own dead, and terrified of the dark. I gave them order. I gave them a singular purpose. Brutality, as you so deride as a crime, was the triage. You cannot perform surgery without drawing blood, and you cannot build a unified nation out of fractured savages without breaking their bones. I am not a criminal prosecutor. I am the architect of a sociological necessity. You are simply too bound by the dogma of a dead republic to understand the architecture. Grayson didn't blink. An architect builds, a butcher simply carves, and you didn't build anything of note in the wasteland. You only institutionalized its worst instincts and stamped your face on a coin. We are not judging you by the dogma of a dead world. We are judging you by the laws of the republic that survived it. Mass murder is not a sociological necessity. It is a crime, and you will answer for it. Objection! The profligates did it too. The laws of the republic that survived. Fine. Let's talk about that republic and the crimes against humanity that you so hold dear then. Let us talk about the FEV Curling 2. FEV Curling 2 was never released into the air, retorted Grayson. So because it never happened, that grants you the morality sit up there in your robes and uniforms, masquerading as the moral arbiters of the wasteland? My legion conquered with the sword because it was a historical necessity. Your enclave engineered a biological weapon to unilaterally wipe out millions, simply because you deemed their genetics impure. You didn't just commit a crime against humanity. You attempted to redefine the species to suit your own vanity. Sallow leaned back in his chair. When the bombs fell, the Geneva Convention went with it. If it still exists because the children of the old world say so, and if I am guilty of crimes against humanity for building an empire, then every member of the Enclave High Command should be in chains beside me. So tell me, Grayson, are we proceeding with the executions, or is the law only applicable to those who don't have access to power armor? Damn it! Caesar avoids the charges of crimes against humanity based on the Enclave precedents. Ooh. Caesar coming out swinging, it appears.
Enclave here.
I'm not saying all of his points were wrong necessarily, but interesting to see where this is gonna go. Let's
Enclave
take
here.
Newton, please. Well, I guess we already did take Newton. Alright, there we go. Live wires and Newton. Welcome back into the folds of the United States of America. Your lives will be improved, I promise. Alright, so we do have Warden and the New Mexico chapter here. They are both part of the Denver Defense Network. So that's probably my next friend here to go. So I guess let's
That's a no one.
Let's, there we go. That's a nice, solid. Here, let's get some more power on. Obviously, we got the Rocky Mountains here to contend with.
President's watching us like a hawk.
We got some rivers here to contend with. Let's just find all the crossings. Hopefully I have enough divisions, right? Or army groups.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Alright, I probably won't put one here where live wires was or whatever, because I think we'll be able to push, and then just if something sneaks out, then we'll scoop it
Why
up.
isn't your video feed working?
Alright, so we have a mountain pass there. Oh, I hate fighting in the mountains. It's the worst.
Enclave here.
Sorry. Sneeze come up on me. Actually, here, I might just let you stay in a defense. Then you can just hold both of these borders. Just hold them.
Everything's always tighter out here.
We don't need you on river patrol anymore. Alright. Same for you. Same for you. You just hold this pass. Don't even bother pushing out. It'll be alright. This also shows that I am very, very short on some other troops. Good thing I have 100,000 manpower. Alright. Let's make 80 divisions. And we'll go from there. So I got this. Alright. Where, darn it, where was I having them go? They're going to go there. So that's not even all of the Warden's territory. Look like we still probably have... yeah, there's still several borders. And then, of course, we got everything with the New Mexico chapter. But this is all just regular land right here. So a couple army groups will be able to fill that. Anything come up anywhere else? Dang it. Again, I do apologize for that. On the second computer, my secondary old computer, I had briefly turned on reconnected Steam to the internet for, jeez, I can't remember what it was for now. But I from my research, I thought it had shown me as long as the main computer that I'm playing all these games on, if it was still offline and closed and everything, that nothing could get touched. But unfortunately, I guess it managed to work its way. It still managed to do it, sadly. So I am sorry. That this is going this way. But so let's maybe do another day of events, I suppose. And then we'll probably call it then. So it'll be a shorter episode, I guess, as we work through some of this stuff. Alright, establish the overseers, good. revive the old state system. Maybe the vault stuff is still there. I wonder why some focuses stayed and some went backwards. All of the vault stuff went backwards in terms of the focuses for it. They removed it all. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Train up. And Warden's going to be our big fight come next episode, I suppose, along with the New Mexico chapter. So once they're gone, that'll leave Mexico, Project Guest, and the Canadian Labor Congress, which the census vote, I suppose, or the unofficial vote was leave the communists for last, which is a great idea. Obviously, that makes a lot of good thematic sense. Oh, you can max out your money? 2,500,000 is the max you can have? Oh, okay. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna do anything with it. Yeah, wild stuff. Well, we're gonna need lots of planes, I suppose, so work on getting some of those in position too, I guess. Where's a lot? Here's some. West Colorado will be your zone. There should be some up here. Indeed, yep. Here's 400 fighters. Your zone can be South Wyoming. And then we'll move the plane. I guess I'm going to need some for whatever we do here with the New Mexico chapter as well. So I saw a big, here's one, 750 right here. We only have I don't even care if they're rookies. They're still going to do a great job. So there they go. They can sit right on central New Mexico, which will do all that. All right, so that was revive the old state system. Let's do Project Safe Haven, and then we can see what happens from there. I was waiting for some more Caesar. I guess it's on a countdown somewhere. Cooldown, but I thought it said there was stuff every day. But nothing's come up in a while. Go figure. Yeah, it said it was a 20 event trial. Where's the other ones? Dang. I mean, there are a couple things right here about... There's a couple Army bases in here, or Air Force bases, but... in the development projects, but that's not the same thing that we were... That's not the same thing we were doing. Now, we didn't, like, select the wrong option down at the bottom, did we, or something? Alright, so we're just going to do one real quick. Restore California's vaults. Let's see what that does. Alright. And then maybe what I'll do, if we don't get an event for this, once we're done here, yeah, if we don't get another trial event, then I'll go back off camera and I'll select that other option to see if that was the correct way to do it. But it didn't have a description at the bottom of what the other option did, so I would just think the other one would be the trial continues, but all right. So that, all right, restore California's vaults. Okay, vault 7. Okay, as completed focus, Big MT restored purity. Okay, and I remember there was a vault we couldn't do until we did all the Big MT stuff. Gosh dang it, where'd it go? Here it is. So that's that one. So we were working on that, so that might be accurate. So so if that's the case, I assume then if we do other, restore vaults in all the states, because if it didn't keep track of all the vaults we had done, California, there would be an absolute crap ton of vaults would have just shown up, right? So maybe it has kept track of everything we've done. So if that's the case, then maybe off camera I'll just spend time doing all these states things again, all these focuses, so we can kind of maybe get back to where we were, at least in terms of that, because I would like to do that. The Sierra AI project. Oh, looks cool. Don't remember that one. So, lots of changes. Again, I am sorry. So, all right, let's just stop there. So, we got a trial going on. We took a couple more lands. We are getting ready for Warden and the New Mexico chapter. Let me know what you think. I mean, the trial thing's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. And we'll just go from there. So, I appreciate y'all. Bear with me on this one. It was an accident. But y'all are the best. I hope you mutants stay out of trouble, and look forward to seeing you soon. Alrighty, bye-bye.